There's just an interesting vibe, it feels like, nationally around Georgia because Gunner Stockton's going to be the guy, and or assuming he's going to be the guy, it seems like there's more of uncertainty around Georgia for some folks. Like, where are you at on Georgia, and where are you at on Gunner Stockton right now?
Well, it's really funny because I was even with some guys a couple of days ago. I was with David Green, Shockley, a couple other Georgia quarterbacks, and we were talking about like last season and Georgia football in general. And the big thing from them was last year was in the year from a lot of Georgia fans, honestly. Like that last year was Kirby Smart's best coaching job ever, and what he was able to do. And kind of in the moment you felt like that, and you somewhat feel like that as well right now. But you go back to the NFL draft, and Georgia had 14 guys drafted to the NFL, which was second most to Ohio State. And you think like, okay, well, if Carson would have gone to the NFL draft, that would have been 15. So they would have had just as many guys drafted into the NFL as what Ohio State had, who won the national championship. So to look at all the talent that UJ had and lost, and then you see what they're bringing back. And I think for me, the hard part is you have to realize that, yes, Georgia's recruited at a high level. Number one class, number two class, number three class. They're stacked, but it's a lot of unknowns. And I think to me, that's a little bit worrisome if you are a Georgia fan. And for me, who covers Georgia and a letterman there at the University of Georgia, is what will they look like? We're just a little bit unknown because of the youth.
Does it feel at all to you like this is going to be a more edgy Georgia team? Like, you got a quarterback who literally died in the SEC championship game, jumped up, walked off under his own power. He's going to be your starter. I'm like, the Gunner Stockton of it all, Kirby Smart now being able to actually tell his team, like, hey, people aren't picking you to win the national title. Or, like, it used to be kind of manufactured. It feels a little bit more real than maybe it has in previous years. I love the edge around Georgia, or the perceived edge that they could have. Am I wrong there, or what's your take there?
I mean, I've seen a bunch of polls over the past week or two. Everyone's given their, post-spring top 25 in college football, and I've seen Georgia outside the top 10 in a lot of spots. And honestly, for me, I probably wouldn't have them at one. I maybe somewhere around the top five, just because the fact that they have recruited a high level. And you have to understand, it's not just about who has playing experience and who's played 1, 2, 3 years, who has the most seniors back, the most starters back, but like, what coaches do you trust that can legitimately develop talent? And I think that's the one thing that Kirby Smart and Schumann and Bobo do better, if not the best in the country, is getting elite talent, retaining that talent as good as anyone else, and then taking that talent to another level. So I think you have to kind of trust the process a little bit and understand that, yes, we live in this transfer portal age where it's nice to know that, hey, we just went to the portal, got a receiver, got a left tackle, or got a quarterback that has 2 years of experience. We've seen the tape. We know what he's going to be like. It's nice as a fan to go into a season with that confidence. It's a little bit harder nowadays to trust that, hey, that quarterback, Gunner Stockton, who's been in the system, has played games, has actually played a couple meaningful games, is going to develop and get the time and reps now necessary in spring and in fall camp, summertime, to be a legitimate quarterback within the SEC. So I think you have to trust the fact that, hey, Kirby Smart is still, in my opinion, the best coach in America. He's got some of the best coordinators in America. They're going to get those guys, while they might not be experienced, they're extremely talented and ready to go. And going back to your question about Gunner and if Gunner's going to be the guy, from all accounts and from everyone I've talked to, he is going to be QB1. I think that the biggest difference is, while Puglisi could be and deemed to be maybe the more talented of the two quarterbacks,
Sure.
better arm strength, maybe a little bit, very equal in the mobility category. It's just not there with the speed of understanding the offense. And it's not the sense of like, oh, why can't you dumb down the offense if he's the better quarterback? I try to tell people this all the time. I'm 6'1", maybe. Some people say I'm 6 foot. I'll go with 6'1". 6'1", average arm strength. But I could get everyone else around me to play at a high level. So it's not at the quarterback position always about what you know. Like, I'm sure Puglisi knows what he needs to do. If I tell him, hey, man, curl flats, what are you doing here? Well, single high, I'm going to work this way. Versus two high, probably going to work here, right to a check down. Like, he gets all that. I guarantee it. But can he put his offensive line in a position to pick up a backside corner blitz or to change the mic to the will linebacker, or a hot route receiver. Like those little things, those little small, minute details to make those guys around you play at a high level. That's that next level thing that he's going to have to continue to learn and develop. Where right now you have Gunner, who knows the system and can put everyone else in a position to go out there and play at a high level as well.
And it seems like there's a lot of buy-in to Gunner Stockton. Like we watched the SEC title game I mentioned already, but like he checks into the game in the second half, and there wasn't this oh shoot sort of vibe around Georgia. There wasn't this we have our backup in, like what's going on. It was like, no, we got Gunner in the game. Let's go now, baby. Like we're behind 14 all the way. And then I think we all saw that in the playoff game too. Like I understand Georgia lost the game and Notre Dame ended up being within a score of Ohio State in the fourth quarter of the national title game. So like that is what it is. I was impressed with Gunner Stockton against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot from that game that because they lost, it sort of maybe muddies the picture around how well he played. But like Aaron, he threw for more yards against Notre Dame in the playoff than Will Howard, than Drew Aller, like two good quarterbacks. I mean, Will Howard's an NFL quarterback now. Drew Aller, some people are saying, is going to be the first quarterback taken next year. Like, I think the Gunner Stockton optics, I understand he's not Carson Beck. He's not the known commodity. I really feel like with what we've seen from him, there's a lot to be excited about with him.
I mean, I bought into that narrative last season as well. And I think part of it was for the fact that, I've always been a big fan of Carson, for since the first time I saw Carson, 4 years ago in a preseason scrimmage in Sanford Stadium. I was like, man, that dude's got it. Like there's just something about his skill set, his size. And there was a reason why Carson was projected number one pick in the NFL draft heading into next season. So when you go to practice and you see Carson next to Gunner, yeah, there's a difference. I mean, one guy just throws it like an NFL quarterback. The other guy is still, more athletic, throws it well, but just not to the same level. And, I can go back to, 5-6 years ago with Jake Fromm and Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason, 6'5", throws the football as pretty as anyone I've ever seen in my entire life, like NFL, college, anyone. And then you got Jake Fromm, kind of built like me, throws it well, but not that elite arm strength. Well, guess what? Jake Fromm is still kind of jumping around the NFL, still has an NFL career, had an incredible college career, while Jacob Eason, 6'5", had the potential, but just never really got to that. And I'm not saying that Carson's not going to reach his potential. I still think Carson has an opportunity, I think we're going to talk about him later, to have a really good year at Miami, be a first-round draft pick next year. I thought he made the right decision. But just because you look good in shorts, just because you're that BP hitter that's out there just bombing home run after home run in BP, doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be a superstar in the game. So going back to your original question, I kind of bought into that narrative that, hey, Gunner may not be this elite quarterback, kind of some of the stuff I saw in practice comparing him to Carson. But then I went back, this was probably a month or two ago, and I watched every single snap from Gunner the entire season, from the games that he came in during blowouts to the SEC championship game, to that game at Notre Dame, and I walked away extremely impressed. Footwork, accuracy, ability to push the football down the field, obviously his athleticism, his guts, his determination, the way he plays the position. You can see why guys want to rally around Gunner Stockton. So I'd say that to say the fact that he's now had the opportunity to be the guy all offseason, going to continue to be the guy. I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that he will not be QB1 come that first game of the football season. I think you're going to see a guy that's going to have a tremendous season, especially now, fingers crossed, with the talent that Georgia's been able to amass around him at the receiving position.
Yeah, I mean, we even touch on that. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts. Like the receiving room a year ago for Carson Beck, I mean, you're dealing with the most drops in the country. Like that's just, I mean, you know better than anybody, Aaron. Like that's tough to gain momentum when you're consistently dropping the football on what should be first downs and maybe more than that for your offense. Speaking to the receiver room, feels like just everything seems to be Mike Bobo's fault in Athens, always. Like global warming, Mike Bobo's fault.
Always.
Chick-fil-A closed on Sundays, Mike Bobo's fault. Receivers dropping the football, Mike Bobo's fault. Like, why does he get such a tough rap in Athens? Because I don't understand it.
It's not anything new. I mean, this was going on when I was there. And it was funny because, we would feel all the complaining and the bitching and moaning. And we're like, we're scoring 40 points a game. We're like one of the top 10 offenses in the country. Like, what more do you want from us? I mean, come on, guys. Like, we're scoring points. Why don't you get on Todd Grantham and tell him to stop calling, whatever he calls on third and fourth down, and maybe we win some more games. But, I think it's a familiarity thing. I think there's we've been around Bobo for so long, from his time at quarterback at the University of Georgia in the '90s to being a quarterback coach, then the OC. When you get to know someone, it's like being it's like me and T-Bob. We worked together for so long, we can kind of just rip each other on the show, and it's just kind of it's casual, it's nice, it's fun. This is not as fun, I would say, because it's a little fire from the Georgia fans, a little bit too much. But you kind of feel like I know this guy so well, I can just kind of let loose and rip him a little bit more. Which, not to say that's fair or not fair, but I think Mike Bobo does a tremendous job. I think even going back to 2 years ago when Georgia, I was talking to someone about this 2 days ago too. We're kind of talking about the offense and the playmakers. Going back to that game against Alabama in the SEC championship game. And you go back and watch it for those who maybe have access to all 22, and they're like, "Oh, well, you had Brock and you had Ladd, and look how good they're playing right now in the NFL, their rookie seasons." If you go back and watch that game versus the Crimson Tide, those guys were banged up. They looked like a shell of themselves. And probably, and if it was another game in the season, if it wasn't the SEC championship game, those guys probably would not have played. They didn't look good, so they weren't healthy that year. For the majority of the season, Ladd rarely played. Brock was out for the majority of the season. This past year, you had all the drop issues. And I'm not here to make excuses for Mike Bobo. I guarantee you he's saying, hey, I got to be better as an offensive coordinator. I got to put my guys in a better position to go out there and have success. But they did not perform on the outside to what I expected. I thought Dom was going to have a better year. I was hoping Aaron Smith would kind of make that next stride in the right direction. I thought the tight end room with Oscar and Lawson were going to perform better than what I saw last year. You saw Oscar kind of have some struggles early. He started to produce later on in the season, but it just never clicked on the outside. And then Carson started pushing and pressing a little bit as well. So, like I said, for Georgia fans, the belief is, hey, Kirby put an emphasis at the receiving position this offseason, went and got two of the top guys in the portal, went and got a really talented recruiting class. Still returns Oscar and Lawson. They got another freshman tight end I know they absolutely love as well. This is as good, hopefully, of a unit on the outside as Georgia's had in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would just love to see Mike Bobo be able to drop the mic a little bit after. I mean, maybe it'll never happen just based on how his perception is in Athens. I'd love to see him just say, we scored 40 a game yet again, national title, whatever. Like, he'll keep that to yourself.